Okay, well, first, I'm sure I look and sound a mess because I have a cold, but somebody asked the question, why does exercise work for someone with personality disorder when medications, pharmaceuticals don't? And the assumption is that there are feel-good hormones that are released in your body when you exercise, and that's what makes you feel better. So it's brain chemical adjustment the same way pills would be. That's not quite accurate. First of all, there are endorphins that can be released. That is not the primary reason why you feel better if you exercise, these chemicals, and they don't always affect people. Like they don't get me very much. I don't feel so great and relieved after I exercise. Ugh. On the contrary, yeah. So and I know a lot of other people are like, yeah, that doesn't affect me at all. So that's not why. It's actually sort of a sore subject right now because a few months ago I could push more than half a ton on a calf press. Seriously, I was doing 26 45-pound plates, which is 1,170 pounds. And now I have tendonitis in my Achilles tendon. And I can't even walk right. And it's going to take about a year to recover from that. So, yeah, I'm hoping for warm weather to hit quickly so that I can go swimming. Because I can't basically do anything in the gym at all at this time, and it might be lingering for quite some time. But that's total aside. The reason why going to the gym, or however, whatever exercise you want to do, the reason why it works for people is, first of all, it gets out a lot of aggression and anger, and especially for people with avoidant personality disorder, it's really hard to express that, and it builds in your system. And actually, I just saw this other video by School Life that just came out, was fantastic, about how anger can actually be the cause of a lot of depression, because it's unexpressed anger. It basically filters in the system and causes depression. I thought that was great. I don't really think that it completely applies to people with avoidant personality disorder, but hey, I'm not the only one that comes up with this stuff, right? I don't really just come up with it off the top of my head. So that is one of the things, is it gets rid of anger, and avoidant people really have problems expressing their anger, and they have a lot of sort of built up anger for years and years, all the years of their abuse, etc. So there's one. Number two, it helps you to sleep. It helps you to regulate your sleep, which, again, due to stress and everything else, if you have a personality disorder, you have to function and deal with people. It usually, well, it's not usually, well, yeah, it usually affects your sleep cycle. And the more you exercise, the better you can regulate that. And the more you sleep, the better that your mood will be. So there's the second thing. Then the physiological changes. It will lower your blood pressure, which will make you physically feel better, which means that emotionally, and take it from me, for the last, oh my gosh, 6 months now, I can tell you for sure that when you're physically in pain, it makes it really much harder to deal with emotional stuff that comes along. And I'm whining, and I was told explicitly that that whining is unnecessary and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's another huge, long story. So I'm sorry if I'm whining, but seriously, I'm telling you now, if you're in pain, you can't handle the rest of your life very well. And so, yeah, I mean, you would think that exercising, you got more likely to do injuries, although I gotta say, I've had 2 really nasty ones in this past year, and neither of them had anything to do with exercise at all. Even though you would think, and I was like, I did this, right? I did this tendonitis, I did this to myself in the gym. They're like, no, this just randomly happens. As a matter of fact, when they did all the scans, they're like, you see this, and you see this, and you see this, these should be bothering you, and they're not, and that's because of the exercise. And actually, I don't know if I talked about this, but I had a really very, very nasty issue the end of last year, and among the things as a result of it, I had blood clots. They actually tested and found them, and none of them stuck because it was in the gym. And they're like, if you hadn't regularly been exercising, you probably would have died. So more benefits, but that doesn't affect your mood. How it affects your mood is, let me see, what else? So it affects your blood pressure, brings your blood pressure down. It also can help filter your blood for harmful things, like even diseases, and what do they call them? Free radicals or something like that. I don't know. It basically makes your entire system work better and more efficiently. And so if you've got nasty stuff in your body, it makes it easier for you to get rid of it, expel it, fight it off, and you feel better because you're just physically healthier, etc. I mean, there's a bunch. You could look them up. There's a whole bunch of actual physical reasons that when you get your physical self sort of in line, then it affects your mental state, and in a really great way. Plus, depending on how you do it. Now, I was advised to go to CrossFit. I don't think avoidant people with avoidant personality disorder, I think that's a no. Big time, because CrossFit gyms are extremely social, and it's like 10 minutes of exercise where they cheat everything. They cut corners. They let you do like half exercises. That's why people get so injured at them, is because they're not actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're letting them get away with sort of half doing it, and then, just that helps cause injury. Not all of them, but most of them. Anyway, but the point of going to a CrossFit gym is to be social and to have your crew with you and to interact with people. And a lot of exercises are forced partner exercises. No. So that's a little bit too social, but especially for avoidant people. See, there really is, I've talked about this I think before, there's 2 sort of different ways people are avoidant. That people are, overall, you can't have relationships with people for whatever reason. You can't tolerate it. You can't tolerate people liking you. Actually, my therapist sort of hit me with something that I was like, maybe I should make a video about that too. Very intense. Anyway, there's the type of people that can have sort of very limited kind of close relationships. Like, they're able to interact with their family. They can have like one friend, as long as the friend has a very full life and is not dependent on them for anything in particular. And sometimes they can have even more than that. They can have like a handful. Again, as long as they're not the number one in these people can understand if somebody needs to step back. There's that type of person, and then there's the type of person who is sort of, and that type of person, the first one I was explaining, they don't like crowds, they don't like to be around groups of people, they think that massive of people are judging them. That is sort of like the opposite of me. Mine is that I like to be around people, and so I'll like go on vacation, and for some reason it's okay in vacation, and it took me the longest time to figure it out why, which was that I'm around people, a lot of people, but I'll never see them again, so it's all good. But so for me, I can do something like go to a gym where there's some regulars, but the one that I went to, people just, they could tell who's social and who isn't, and they left the non-social people alone. I don't know, maybe I'm really lucked out with the group of people that that were at my gym. My gym I used to be able to go to that I can't go to anymore because I'm injured. Anyway, doesn't that sound? I hate exercise. I completely detest it. It is against my religion, I swear to God. There's nothing good about it. I can't stand how it feels. I can't stand forcing myself to do it. I like having had it done. I like having be able to say, yeah, okay, I did that today. But other than that, I hate everything about it. And yet I would do it, absolutely. Because it does, again, it stabilizes you in a way that life can't. I don't know, maybe there's something else that I think it's possible for those other people that are that can have very limited, fairly close relationships. Maybe being with somebody else would give them the same stability that having exercise would for somebody who can't be with anybody at all. Although, I keep hearing about these avoidant people that can kind of have close relationships with a few individual people, and I tend to sort of be like, yeah, that's possible, except that I have my son, who I interact with every single day, so it's somehow different, but it's not, but it is, but anyway, so back to the topic. Yes, so especially if you've got avoidant personality disorder and you're the type of person who actually likes to be around people in crowds when you don't have to interact with them and you don't have to have an intimate, any kind of relationship with them at all, that you just like people, that you also get that from going to the gym. You're around people, safe people that are going to leave you alone. Yeah. Because, you either get the gym where everybody, like a CrossFit gym, where everybody's sort of like, yeah, let's hang out together and be pals, or you get the type of gym where people go out of their way to not make contact because, it's a little weird in the gym to watch somebody. That's the type of gym I like. Anyway, so yeah, so those are some of the reasons why exercise works. Now, why doesn't a chemical pill work then? First of all, I think because it's not natural. And, synthetics can be really close, but they're not what you find in nature. And I think that's a lot of it. It just doesn't work because it's a synthetic. I don't know. It could be that, I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't work, but it does. So I would say that my gut response is, you exercise, and if when you feel that endorphin rush, you suddenly feel like $1 million and a half. So, you're like high as a kite when you get that endorphin rush. If you exercise and you don't get that high as a kite thing, then yeah, it's exactly the same as you're not reacting to the chemical change in your brain. Instead, you're reacting to all the other things, the physiological positive effects and sort of the social effects of exercise.